The hero's journey is a journey that all great ones must take in order to leave what you know, leave the familiar, dive into the unknown, learn your true self, and come back with an elixir that can help save others. That may sound a little woo-woo, but let me break it down for you guys and show you how so many of us have gone through I keep want to say the healer's journey, but I want to say the hero's journey, okay? So if this is your first time here, let me tell you who I am. I am Regal Essence. I am Queen TV. I am Queen TV After Dark. I am Life as a Love Goddess. I am Life as a Laid Back Mom. I'm your crystal healer and dealer. I'm your ray of sunshine in the afternoon time. I'm your past life princess. And I'm somebody's ABA therapist and a pre-K teacher. Hey, booze. Hey. So let's get into this, y'all. So I promise you guys that I will be bringing you a teaching on the hero's journey, okay? And the hero's journey is broken down into 12 stages. We're going to go over those really quickly tonight. And I want you to drop a comment below and let me know if this resonates with your life. Now, the hero's journey became famous. Well, the person who made the hero's journey famous was a man by the name of Joseph Campbell, okay? And essentially, every great movie follows this map, so to speak, right? But it will also relate to many areas of your life. And this will also relate to many different people, okay? Across many different walks of life. All right, so with the hero's journey, you start off, and I'm going to give it to you from a spiritual perspective, okay? So with the hero's journey starts off with the hero being in their ordinary world, right? Now, to become a hero, the hero realizes that they have to save themselves. They have to look at their own trauma. They have to be willing to look at the dark things about them. They have to be willing to step out of their comfort zone and step into the unknown. And ultimately, that is going to cause an initiation and a transformation that is going to change their life forever, right? So, with the first step, initially something is going to that is going to initiate the hero's journey. So y'all know I got my notes because I want to get through these and I want to stay on topic. So the hero starts off in their ordinary world. Then something happens. So the hero is going to be a lesser version of themselves, and they're often going to be following society's doctrines, norms, or living life as in a status quo type of state. But inside, they're yearning for something different. They know that there's something more out there, okay? So they know that adventure awaits. So there is a call to adventure. This happens when something major happens in your life. It can be something like infidelity in a relationship, a job loss, just something that major that happens in your life and requires some change. Like you have to move out and embark upon some type of a different path, okay? Let's see, it'll change everything you know about you and your reality, and also involves delving into the unknown, right? So I'm using something maybe like a job loss, or you will notice that a lot of movies, at the beginning of the movie, the main character, something happens that changes their life, basically causes them to have to shift timelines, so to speak. Most times, second step or third step, I don't know, y'all, it will call, they are going to refuse the call. Most people refuse, like, what? I don't want to change my life as I know it, right? They want to stay in the mundane. But if they don't move and they continue to ignore the call to adventure, then things are going to continue to escalate, and their life is going to push them forward. You ever notice that, say you are in a relationship or a job and you try to ignore everything that's going on, but things just keep happening and escalating to the point that you have to make a decision to do something different, okay? That is what the refusal to call, that is the result, right? And at some point you decide, all right, I'm gonna go ahead on and go, right? So most times, all right, so let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Hero must refuse. A lot of times you refuse because of your insecurities, fears, unwillingness to change. You can be it may require you to change your image, right? And say you get paid to do something, and now you are at a crossroads in life and you're trying to decide, do I want to continue this persona or totally shift gears, and that may affect me financially, right? So that creates the fear, and that creates the unknown, that creates the imposter syndrome, that creates all of the insecurities, okay? Next step, meeting with the mentor. So oftentimes, once you decide, all right, you know what, I'm going to look into this. I think I do need to take a look at how I may be doing things and maybe do things a little bit differently. You're going to realize at that point, you're going to have a mentor When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So you will have a mentor, maybe a real mentor in life that's going to give you advice, maybe somebody that you look up to, an online influencer, somebody that you watch on YouTube. You may come into a book, something of that nature, right? So you're going to meet the mentor. They're going to provide wisdom, insight, and guidance for your journey, all right? And next, crossing the first threshold. The hero leaves their ordinary world for the special world, which is a metaphor for going deep within your subconscious mind, right? This is the point of no return where the adventure truly begins. So once we start to rewire our way of thinking, start to realize that, hey, I've always done things this way in life. My family did it. My uncles did it. My aunts did it. Everybody in my family did it this way. But you know what? I think I need to shift gears. I need to make a different decision. Okay. That is crossing the first threshold. That is realizing, like, in order for me to live different, I have to think different. So I have to rewire my mind. So I have to kind of like go deep within and ask myself questions like, why have I always done things that way? Why have I made these choices that I made? You know what I mean? A lot of times I can even compare this to waking up and realizing that you're in a narcissistic relationship. Why do I always choose narcissists? Why do I choose other people and put other people ahead of me, right? Before my own self. That's when we going deep with them. We're really starting to understand, like, all right, why am I feeling the feelings that I feel? For me, it was me saying, why do I always feel this loneliness and abandonment, but I've never been abandoned in my life, right? And I started to really examine those particular wounds, and it just led me down a rabbit hole that eventually, I started to realize that I was a spiritual being having a human experience. And that ultimately, for me, was the beginning of my hero's journey, because that's when I just started to just really see life differently, right? So then the next thing is you come into test and allies. So like myself, once I realized, like, I'm going to go down this spiritual path, I'm going to embrace these things that I'm hearing and understanding, I ran into test and allies, right? That's when the rubber meets the road. A lot of times that's when things change, the relationships that we're in change, and the dynamics of our relationship changes, right? So you're going to start to meet new friends. I'm going to even say you're going to start to lose the friends that you originally had, okay? The primary function of that stage is to test the hero and prepare them for the major ordeals ahead, okay? Next, you're going to approach the innermost cave, is what it's called. The innermost cave represents a place. It could be a place of danger, or it's just a place of inner conflict within yourself, right? It's a place where you have to beat your inner demons, so to speak, right? Another hero's journey, we can use the story of Jonah. We know that Jonah, he was supposed to go and deliver a message to the people of Nineveh. He refused the call. He ended up in the whale, right? And all of these things, he had to go within. All of these things happened in the dark, in the cave, right? The next thing that happens after that is an ordeal. This is the biggest challenge that the hero is going to face, such as a crisis, hitting rock bottom. You may be you may go through a smear campaign. Your reputation may be ruined in the public eye, something really, really major. And it's so major that you actually transform, okay? And then you have a resurrection, and you are grander and you are more tapped into your inner power, okay? After that is the reward, okay? The reward is an ordeal that you receive kind of like a physical reward. So after you basically fought all your demons, pass all your tests, now as you have chosen this different life, you now get some type of reward. It could be love, it could be a physical reward, it can be coming into more gifts. Oftentimes you do come into more spiritual gifts though, because as you are fighting the dragons and you're in the dark and you're going within, you are gaining more spiritual gifts, right? You're gaining more spiritual insights. That's the purpose of, being in the belly of the beast, okay? So now you see the reward, you see up ahead, okay, I see, what can be of my life if I make this decision, okay? So then the next thing, you start to roll back. So the hero decides to return back to their ordinary world, because oftentimes we go through a season of isolation as we're going on our hero's journey. Sound familiar? So oftentimes you lose friends, you gain friends, you lose friends that are not going to be with you as you progress to your higher self, right? And then you gain friends that are going to be more on your wavelength. They're more on your frequency. Okay? With the reward, oftentimes it is after triumphing an ordeal, the hero receives a reward, either a physical object, knowledge, or interchange. The true elixir, though, is the achievement of that interchange, like being able to realize that at one point I would have dealt with a situation this way, but now I see it from this perspective. Okay, so that is the reward. Oftentimes it's a healing of a trauma, right? And oftentimes with that comes a lot of things, because we're making different choices, we're making healthier choices. So that's where love comes in, abundance comes in. That is a part of the reward of you making that higher choice, because ultimately you know that to go on this hero's journey and to start to do things differently, you already know that is a better choice for you, but you have to conquer your subconscious mind and the fears and the resistance that comes because our brain wants to keep us stuck, right? And keep us stagnant doing the same things that we were doing before. All right, so next, the hero decides to return to the ordinary world, because oftentimes we will have been in some form of isolation a lot of times. So we're stepping back out there, we're getting reacquainted with those that we may have had to withdraw from before. There's still some dangers and temptations, but we're stronger now. We've learned how to pass certain tests. So, like we feeling, like we just sticking our little pinky toe out there, right? So oftentimes you want to make sure that you're dealing with any addictions, bad habits. Make sure that if those come back up, you are applying certain levels of discipline to those areas in your life, okay? The next step, the resurrection. Death and darkness are encountered one more time, okay? But at this point, now you've learned how to incorporate the different lessons that you've learned along the way, right? This can represent you having an ego death, realizing that you had the power all along. So like you're stepping back and you're seeing yourself make decisions better than you had before. Clock it. All right, so after the resurrection, you return with the elixir. The hero returns to your ordinary world with an elixir or a treasure. So basically what that means is you return back to the ordinary world, but now you have some new gifts. Now you have some spiritual gifts that you didn't have before, that have been developed in the darkness, that have been developed as you have learned how to discern who's for you, who's against you. You started to meditate, slow down, heal your nervous system. You're just overall a better person. You're just overall, you have more to offer the world. And ultimately the path of the hero's journey is for you to realize that you are a hero, right? For you to realize that only you can save you, okay? And to realize that you are an important asset to the world, and you have something to offer the world, okay? So basically the hero's journey is an initiation, all right? So you're going to turn, the lesson is learned, and you don't have to repeat that same cycle. Now, those who refuse the call, don't complete it, those are the people that we see die and they are reincarnated because they got to come back and do it again. But a lot of us have gone through this hero journey. We didn't even realize we were on a hero's journey, but actually we were. So yeah, you guys, that's all I got for y'all. If this video resonated with you, do me a favor, drop me a comment, share this video with your friends, save it for when you need a little pick-me-up. And remember, I love you.